Good, Matt. How are you?
Good. Appreciate you guys.
Matt, how would you assess the what's going on at nickel right now? I know we've seen Caleb there, but obviously Lorenzo, I assume, is going to be that guy. How's he done, and how do you see that position going?
Yeah, it's a great question. Obviously, with Jordan moving on, it's been a big focus point for us. Lorenzo's had a great camp, done a really good job. We've got multiple, groupings where we've rotated guys in different positions to be able to have depth across the board in the secondary, not just that position. So I'm definitely pleased with the growth from that spot for sure.
Is he the number one?
Lorenzo?
Yeah.
Yeah, I let Coach Day answer all the questions about depth chart when it comes to that kind of stuff. That's above my pay grade, but he's had a great camp.
How big of a loss, if you had to quantify it, is Jordan? And where are the guys in terms of replacing all of the things he was able to do by the time he was in year 3 at that position?
Yeah, no, Jordan did a great job. He gave us flexibility to be able to play, in the box, deep part of the field. You see him with the Bills right now playing safety. Part of Tim and my philosophy is to cross-train defensive backs. So if you look at defensive back holistically, run, cover, tackle mentality, how do we put guys that have those traits in position? So there's a reason that we meet together as a secondary, because guys need to be cross-trained positionally from there. Obviously, each spot has unique traits that you want to be able to do. But I would say we've been doing this. You know what I mean? So you saw Jordan on display from that position, but we've been doing this, in our room. And so we feel confident from a depth standpoint where we're at.
Matt, is there anybody who gives you that flexibility now that Jordan did?
Yeah, a bunch of guys give us flexibility there.
Not all crumbled into one guy.
No, like I said, you've got guys, Lorenzo Styles gives us flexibility, Bryce West is giving us flexibility, Caleb gives us flexibility in a number of places, so you have guys that have, had really good camps to be able to do things. Jermaine Matthews can play a lot of positions, so you've got guys, like I said, that have those traits of what we look for, and we're able to, build it to put guys in best position.
Ryan said yesterday that there are 3 safeties that you guys feel are at game ready. How close are you to having more from the traditional safeties, and how much does the Lorenzo and Bryce and even a guy like Jermaine who can move around, how much does that help make you feel more confident than just saying 3 guys?
Yeah, I think when you look at the length of a game, your depth as you build it, you want more than just your starters or maybe one more guy, right? So you're always planning for different scenarios, and then you're into multiple DB packaging at times too, right? So you can't just say, hey, I got one guy here and a backup at that spot, or a backup for 2 spots, So to answer your question, I think it's really important that you have depth across the board of guys that can plug into positions. And I don't look at it just, hey, here's Caleb Downs, and then who's the backup just for that position. It's like, who's the next best player in the game, right? And then our job is to build a defense around putting the best guys on the field.
How close are Fahim and Literally to making it happen? Pushing that?
They've had a really good camp. Really good camp, yeah. They're different skill sets of those 2 guys. They've competed at a really high level. They've taken a ton of reps. But I'm really pleased with the trajectory of both those guys.
You don't want to put a lot on a freshman, but where do you stack up Fahim and what you've seen out of him compared to other guys you've worked with?
Yeah, Fahim brings a physicality to the game, so you've seen that. You've watched his high school film, you know what I mean? He's a run and hit player, but he's a really highly intelligent player as well. So when you come in with the approach that he's had from a professional standpoint of learning defense, applying the game, having a routine, and it helps when you've got Caleb Downs in the room and you can just say, I'm gonna go follow that guy, So credit to the vets for taking in a young guy under their wing, but credit to him to working hard, and it's our job then to say, okay, what does he do best, and plug that in.
How much has Matt's experience and versatility from his time in New England and whatnot helped with kind of figuring out some of these positions we're just talking about?
That tree is the gurus at finding out what people do well and putting in a position to do that, So Matt's experience is incredible. You've had that type of, run that he had, in the NFL, different hats that he's worn. He sees the game through a, incredibly unique lens, and I've been very impressed with Matt and the way that, we're able to say, okay, hey, here's how we train our guys, here's how we can build packaging. I think the marriage of that's been really special.
Does whoever wins the competition, if it's not been won yet, between Jalen McClain and Malik Hartford, determine where Caleb Downs will play?
We have multiple packaging based on who's in the game, but I expect to see multiple safeties. You know what I mean? So it's not like, hey, okay, just this guy, and then that factors into that right there.
Basically, 3 starters.
Yeah, 100%. I view them as guys that are game ready is how I view it. So that's the term that we use. Like, who's game ready, right? Who's game ready? Because the reality is, like, the first play of the game, let's say that someone came out in a heavy personnel grouping, well, you might not have one of your starting corners in the game, you know? So sometimes that term, I get it, but I think it gets thrown out of proportion a little bit compared to, like, hey, who are the game ready players? Have they earned the right to be in the game? Let's put our groupings together to be able to feature those guys, you know? But obviously us making sure that, you know, Caleb is able to impact the game is critical importance.
Yeah, what are those conversations like? What are those conversations like in what you do with Caleb Downs, for example, as opposed to just letting him be in the middle of the defense and doing his thing? What are those conversations like?
Yeah, it's where are we able to deploy him? What's the attack of the offense? You know, that's part of it too. Is like, hey, how are they trying to build offensive structure? Where can we put him to be able to impact the game? You know, so a year ago, you're able to see him in the deep part of the field, in the intermediate, blitzing, doing different things like that. And then, you know, all offseason, we say, okay, hey, what does Caleb do really well? What are the things we want to continue to improve on and continue to highlight that, you know? But he's obviously that's no secret to anybody. He's a huge piece of how we built.
Where have you seen Malik and Jalen go throughout this competition?
Yeah, one of the biggest things to me as you go from a younger player to a more veteran player is level of communication. And safeties, that's their job, right? They got to direct traffic. They have to be able to articulate, communicate, get everything lined up. So I've seen the biggest growth from them in that area. You know, so I think that both those guys have, like, if you watch the practice, they play hard. They're at the point of attack. There's a lot of positive things from there, but it's, okay, now you're, like, Lathan Ransom's not in the room anymore, right? So who's going to communicate at that level, right? And I push both those guys to do that. So that's the biggest part of growth.
Matt Patricia mentioned differences in their skill sets, how they might be deployed. What do you see as the different strengths of those two guys?
Yeah, it's a great question. You know, I think that they have, you know, some similarities. So I wouldn't say like they're radically different players as far as like one needs to be near the line of scrimmage or deeper. Sometimes with guys you say, hey, this is more of a box type safety or more of a free type safety. So I think there are, you know, similar traits to be able to do that. Yeah, I wouldn't say radically different. Yeah, is there nuance? Sure, but without giving away too much, I'd say, you know, there's enough similar traits to be able to go play the safety position.
How have you seen Caleb grow this year?
Leadership. You know, I think when you're a young player, take Caleb at Alabama, highly recruited guy, comes in, earns his stripes as an All-American his freshman year, but you're just a young player. You're not the guy that, you know, like, you're down by 10 at halftime and the guys will look to you, right? So you're just, at that point, you're just playing the game and you're contributing at a high level as a player. When he first came here, and I respect Caleb, he and I have talked long about this, I respected the way that he went about it. He wanted to get to know his teammates. He didn't come in like he was the big dog, you know? And there were other veterans in that room, whether it was Denzel Burke or Lathan Ransom, and Caleb kind of came in and built relationships and then let his play and who he is as a person speak for itself from there. Well, now you turn it over to your third-year player, and right, wrong, good, bad, everybody looks at number two. And that's you know, a huge growth moment for Caleb to say, hey, I'm a captain of this team. You know, the team's going to go how I go. I'm not just impacting the game through my play, but good or bad, I'm the vocal leader of our team.
And have you seen that as a natural thing, Matt? For him?
What's that?
Has that been a natural progression?
It has.
For the team and him?
It has. Yeah, credit to Gary and Tanya Downs. That's a special family right there, you know. And yeah, our job is just to put him in position and give him the opportunities, you know. I think when you're a younger player, it's not as natural, but I think when you've had as many opportunities as Caleb has to be in front of people and you get more comfortable with that type of stuff. But yeah, he's been fantastic. He talks to all the defensive backs right after practice every single day. I think he likes that responsibility.
Matt, we talk a lot about how the two kind of athletic freaks, something like that, will impact the defensive line. What does that do for you guys? What you can do with your safeties when you know that some are as athletic as they are?
Yeah, it's great. You know, you're able to run and hit and have length for throwing lanes and blitz. Like you talk about complete players, you know. So like when we look schematically, we say, okay, if a guy was more limited, fine, he can't function and do this. When you game plan with those guys, with Veli and Sonny, you say, those guys can do a lot of things, right? They can rush the passer, they can drop, they can do a ton, right? In the intermediate zones, you can put them in all different kind of places. So it gives you a lot of flexibility from a coverage standpoint compared to just saying, okay, I have to protect this player, you know, from there. So it gives you more freedom.
Caleb is Caleb.
How different are the conversations you have with Caleb now that you've been with him for a full year than when he first came in?
Yeah, I think there's a higher level of understanding on both sides. One of our things we first did together was we spent a lot of one-on-one time just like watching film, and I felt like it was my job to tap into such a special mental that he has. So now, okay, he knows how I see the game. I know how he sees the game. We've been in good times together. We've been in tough times together. I know how he operates on a game day, how he operates during the week of practice. So I think there's more understood from that stuff that doesn't need to be, ABC laid out. And it's probably shorter conversations to be able to get on the same page.
Matt, kind of piggybacking off of that, Caleb's obviously very talented and smart. How do you continue to challenge him?
Yeah. You coach each guy very critically, right? So it's like, okay, I've always said this, like, okay, you made a play, great, but did you make it the right way? So like man-to-man coverage, hey, was my footwork in the right progression? Were my eyes in the right progression compared to, okay, I got away with this against a guy maybe I'm better than, compared to, okay, now it's a matchup situation, or this guy's faster than me. Now, what's the technique to get to win in those positions? So I think just being very critical, holding him accountable, and he wants that. Like, he's like a coach me coach kind of guy. He doesn't want to just be over there saying, oh, I got it all figured out. Like, he's a sponge now. I mean, he's latched on to me, Tim, Matt, Patricia. Hey, coach me, teach me the game, teach me the next level. He wants that, and that's part of what makes him so special and great, is that growth mindset.
Matt, what have you seen from Jalen McClain this camp that set him apart as an Island Buckeye?
Yeah, intensity, consistency. Jalen McClain, we do effort grades every single practice, and Jalen McClain is a true freshman, has the highest defensive back effort grade. And there's a bunch of high-level effort guys in the room, so like, he's going to go hard every single day. He's wired that way. He's going to be consistent. He's in my office early every single day. I have nothing but great things to say about his approach and mental makeup to be able to, couple that with obviously his skill set, and it's been high-level performance.
Thank you.
Coach, thank